Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We are back here again, and we are going to now cross-examine the inspector's testimony of Mr. Natsume's arrest. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unsightly light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about the victim, the accused. Oh wait, I should be pressing these stuff. Let me go back. Let's press this. There's something good might come from it. A light fog, you say? Well, light for London. You can see the opposite side of the street for once, not much farther ahead though. That's light, is it? Around these parts, yes. Not to mention, I expect a not something I'd expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I've read that London is famous for its fog, but in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance. Fisk, how quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a great large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Indeed, other days I was very nearly trampled by horses before I could even see the carriage they were pulling. Sasato-san and I should definitely remember to stop and look around and listen. However, on the day that concerned us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. A fact that no doubt lamented by the accused. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else around but the victim and the accused. Accursed. How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend, because that is what the witness to this crime have told us. Ah yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witness yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard. That is correct, ma'am. Well, that was very pathetic. I haven't seen that in a while. Then we must hear from their testimony. The prosecution will, of course, call them to the stand, should it be necessary. But wait a minute. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have seen. I'm unaware of the situation on your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital of the Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by the gas streetlights. The prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness. Which means we really need to hear those witnesses' statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to do it. It seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector. Under the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. Hold it! From behind, you say? That's right. As you can see from the print. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in critical condition. Comatose, no less. I'm afraid so, my lord. Yes, she's being treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started, but I could take a statement, but I wasn't able to. Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of the events. Luck is on the client's side, it seems. On the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes of yours. Need more confidence, man. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Mr. Natsume's belongings. I think you'll find it's all there in the photograph print of the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books are on the floor. That's right, my lord. Oh, who am I doing? I completely lost whose voice I was doing for a second. That's right, my lord. The second-hand books, they were and separately damaged after falling in the snow, of course. The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand, which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume's had his hands full with books. He managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there. You mean to say the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord, yes. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from the bookshop, it seems. The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodging is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Mearsham Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this. Alright, so our local map has now been updated. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop. Mr. Naruto, I think that what the inspector just told us just could turn out to be vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made... let me see again. Stock. I'm guessing it's the location. Let me just double check really quick. Where's the map? There's the map. Alright, so he's here. Goes down, goes in here. But what happened? Was she facing the other way face planet? I don't quite remember. Alright, well, I think the location... Possibly. The crucial detail in what we've been just told in the court, Inspector, is the location of the bookshop. I couldn't agree more. So, where is it exactly? Eh? Are you winding me up, Sunshine? I just explained that. I got the map out and everything, used red, blue, and ink, drew the bloke's map for home for you. And I distinctly remember seeing you nod along, Counsel. Oh, yes, of course. I must have been so nervous I didn't take it in. The blunder of the day goes to you, my friend. No, not yet. The trial's not only just begun, after all. Mr. Naruto, I would strongly advise you to look carefully through the court records at this stage. Yes, miss, at once, miss. Sorry I make the mistake, miss. Oh, I chose the wrong thing, but I think it was one of those options. Inspector, continue your testimony, please. Alright, what was I missing? Something flew over my head there. We got a second-hand bookshop receipt. Some 2 shillings and 3 books. Yeah, customer Natsume. We got a case file. Pavement. Oh wait, he said east side of Briar Road, right? Let's see. I think I have a guess to what it could be over back here.
Hold it!
Unless this is just some red herring. Let's see if we can get through this. Ooh, but man, my throat is kind of hurting. This might be the last part I do for this recording session. Alright, so there's Bourbon Books right there. They said they found the body on the east side of Briar Road. It's on the same side as where the bookstore would be. Mr. Natsume's lodgings is right there. So they assumed that was his route, even though he could have just crossed the road and went straight down as well. But it has to have been that because he did see the lady. What was the importance? To me, it's just flying over my head. The name, maybe? Did we say the name? Oh, it's called Bourbon Books right there. Maybe if I look at the books. Wait. Does this say... No, this one's called Your Books. Ah, the name is wrong. There's a different shop then. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe. Oh, well, you know. I mean, yes. It could be a very important clue. Very well, not that I can see it being any great significance. Please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say. Could the man be any more sardonic? Alright. He was on his way home from the Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes it. Ah, but you see, Inspector, according to our second-hand book receipt, it was from Your Books. Le present. I pressed the button, but nothing happened. Le present again. If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is the receipt we found in Mrs. Atsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of the 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Why, or are... I presume... Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at the second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand shop not far from the Bourbon Books. It's just that... Well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchases musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street mat here, if that might be of help. Oh yeah, so thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would have almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that it was actually another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true?
My, I'd rather depend on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare that it may be a possibility.
Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said?
Absolutely. It's absolutely could be right.
Watch it be literally right next to it. Alright, where's this other shop?
Inspector Gregson, where's the Your Books establishment?
Well, obviously we looked into that.
It turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Mistrum Street going east.
Oh, it's over there. So there's a different routes he could have taken.
And there you have it, as you can clearly see it now.
Oh. It doesn't change much, does it?
My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown. The way he regales us with such witticism.
I mean, he could have gone this way. Or he could have gone this way. I don't know which one literally is the shortest route. But he literally could have just gone this way. And maybe he would still pass, but still.
To your future career in the circus. You put that glass down now, and I'll put it down for you. I didn't think I needed to spell it out here, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from your bookshop instead of Mormon books, there's no doubt he would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Well, all that for, I don't know, something. Allow me to reiterate for my friend, if somewhat slow Nipponese friend. Wherever the man purchased the musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. Ooh. As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What did I say, eh? I had enough of this show. Beg your pardon, don't be shy, but would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naohiro, we mustn't give up.
What do you mean?
If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the member of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsumi is guilty.
She's absolutely right.
We must think. We must consider the assertion put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully.
They claim Saseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home. From your books, but I've raised an objection because I have no idea if I should or not. Because it always seems like, do you leave it or do you not? It's always choose something other than leaving it. There's one time in the Ace Attorney games I remember you actually had to leave it. The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed.
Explain yourself, counsel.
Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean in this map. When returning from your book to his lodging, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. Yep, that's the route I was thinking of. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodging without passing the location where the victim was attacked. Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that route is what is commonly referred to as a long way around. I don't know, to me it kind of looks the same. On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodging and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime. But, yes, I've got it. Obviously, you must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Mitsume which route he took home.
I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection. Of course he doesn't. That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe this. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more time of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. I pray that what you say, insightful jurors. But even if that is the case... Oh. I agree with Lord Radzees, wholeheartedly and in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does this mean we members of the jury are completely convinced now? Oh yes, these guys. Very well, in that case, I hereby call upon members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Wow, already. Well, we're gonna have to do the thing again that hasn't been dug up in London court since yesterday. It would just appear the jury's leaning is unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably. Mr. Naruto. No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinions of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way, and I have to turn this around. Somehow. Those are the eyes of a quarry not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield rights again in this trial. Rights and defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago. Call it antiquated if you will, but it is the defense prerogative to carry out a summation examination if he chooses. Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with the Napolese whippersnapper and his unkissed refusal to throw in this alley. Very well then, ladies and gents of the jury. You will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Okay, judicial findings, the court's contentions. Well, this is actually where we're going to end this part here. Man, my throat needs a break, so I'm going to be taking a little bit, just a short break. Maybe start another session recording tomorrow, whenever that is. You don't know what date it is today. So thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. And until then, I will see you all later. Goodbye.